Hi everyone, Lisa DeNight back with another recommendation for Bryn Mawr Film Institute's weekly online film discussion series. This week, I'm recommending Gaslight, a Victorian era melodrama that is positively dripping with deliciously unsettling atmosphere. There were actually two films called Gaslight that came out around the same time in the 1940s, both of which were adaptations of a popular theatrical play. And while both versions are worthy of watching, we are going to focus in on the 1944 version, directed by George Cukor, which is the most enduring and famous version, certainly in large part because of its star performance by Ingrid Bergman. In Gaslight, Bergman plays Paula, a young newlywed who is being manipulated by her scheming husband Gregory, played by Charles Boyer, into nearly losing her own sanity. In other words, Paula's husband is gaslighting her to serve his own shadowy agenda. The term gaslighting, which indicates the act of manipulating someone into distrusting their own perceptions and actions to the point that they begin to question their own sanity, is entrenched in our cultural lexicon nowadays, in large part because of this movie, although it technically originated with the theatrical play Gaslight is based on, also called Gaslight. The play was written in 1938 by Patrick Hamilton, a well-known British novelist and playwright who penned a number of works that were adapted into films, Hitchcock's adaptation of Rope being another popular one. Anyway, the great success of the play Gaslight led, as I mentioned, to two filmed adaptations in the 40s. The first of which was a British production directed by Thorold Dickinson in 1940. And then in America, MGM acquired the rights to the play and the British film as well. And in 1944, the American remake came out. MGM actually tried to recall and destroy all copies of the British film version, since the studio planned their version as a large budget prestige picture and didn't want any rival products out there. Although Gaslight's psychological thriller plot sort of deviated from George Cukor's typical fare, he was a natural choice by MGM to direct this film, as it was designed as a star vehicle for Bergman. And Cukor had developed a reputation as being a great director of actresses, showcasing their talents and their stories and their characters' inner worlds front and center in his films. He was known as the preeminent women's director of Hollywood's golden age, sometimes to his chagrin, as he would counter that he got great performances out of men and women alike. But Cukor's reputation held true with Gaslight, though, as Bergman gives an absolutely magnificent performance that won her the first of 3 Oscars. The film was nominated for 7 Oscars overall, winning another for art direction. And you'll see how instrumental the art direction and set design is to heightening Paula's increasingly tenuous grasp on sanity and feelings of being crowded out in her own home. Another thing you'll likely notice are the stylistic elements of film noir in the cinematography, such as sharp expressive angles and high contrast chiaroscuro lighting that work in company with the oppressive set design to help us delve deeper into Paula's psyche. There was another film cycle in the 40s that was complementary to the film noir cycle. This other cycle is sometimes called the female Gothic. Film noir and female Gothic had a lot of commonalities. Both employed the same visual style to tap into a worldview of anxiety and distrust, but the female Gothic is, of course, defined by its gender specificity. Film noir generally followed a male protagonist and posited the female, the femme fatale, as a dangerous enigma. The female Gothic, however, on the flip side, offered a female protagonist, usually an increasingly distressed and threatened heroine caught in a complex web of domestic entrapment, subjugated by her husband, who was the dangerous enigma in this equation. And Cukor, with a history of naturally gravitating towards female perspectives, directly added to this cycle with making Gaslight. It fits very well into the female Gothic formula, along with a couple Hitchcock films that predated Gaslight, like Rebecca and Suspicion and Shadow of Doubt. You can add Robert Siodmak's The Spiral Staircase, and Minnelli's Undercurrent to this female Gothic cycle too, just to name a few more. There were quite a lot of films in the nefarious husband vein in the 1940s. And if you zoom out to the macro picture of America in that decade, there was this underlying reassessment of women's roles in society and in marriage. During and post World War II, as women gained more independence and responsibility than ever, and then the men came back. So you can imagine perhaps the subconscious or even overt sense of discovery and catharsis this sort of female Gothic storyline could offer women filmgoers in the 1940s. For my last note, Gaslight marks Angela Lansbury's film debut. She plays Nancy, the sullen, brazen maid, and a willing pawn in Paula's psychological torture. Lansbury's performance was so great that it netted her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress and essentially launched her career. Ingrid Bergman gets top billing in this intro, but all around, the performances in Gaslight are so good. You will enjoy the performances. So I invite you to join me and Bryn Mawr Film Institute's Senior Director of Education, Andrew Douglas, to discuss Gaslight next week on Monday, November 2nd at 6:30 p.m. As always, I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on it.